Yo, everybody, what is good? It is Tuesday night. You know, that means it's Flyers Talk A2D. Got a lot to talk about, some fun stuff that we can speculate. And we got some big news that may or may not happen this season. We're going to a lot to talk about. So we're going to hit that like, we're going to hit that subscribe, we're going to hit that share button if you're on the Facebook side. You know what? Hit that share button if you're on YouTube too. Get us out there. Lots to talk about. Who's going to step up for the Flyers? We know a couple guys here and there that need to step up. So we're going to discuss that a little bit. Who is the number one guy that needs to step up? We're also going to talk. Tweet was dropped today about maybe Matvei Michkov is coming to the Flyers sooner than later. We're going to discuss that as well. We're going to also do a quick little playoff update with the games tonight. So hit that like, guys. Hit that subscribe. Get your comments in the chat. It's time to talk Flyers hockey. Let's go.
It's Flyers Talk A2D, and we're powered by the doc. That is Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, with 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out our doc, make them yours, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Matt Tsutsudi's off this week, but we do have Brian Daly and yours truly, Rob Povia. Brad Ryer will be joining us here momentarily, but before he does, be sure to hit that like and subscribe for notifications to all your favorite shows here at A2D Radio. Tonight, we'll peek in on the Canes Isles currently in the second period, as well as the Avs Jets set the tip off or face off at 9:30. There's a lot of basketball talk in the Philly area, so excuse that little Freudian slip. Plus, some big news, as Brian alluded to, out of Russia. For one, Matvei Michkov. But first, who needs to step up next season for the Philadelphia Flyers? We want your opinion on our face-off poll, which is Sean Couturier has to be the guy stepping up for the Flyers. Agree or disagree? We'll be reading your comments all throughout tonight's podcast. Obviously, Brian, I'm going to you, my main man, my partner in crime, my dynamic duo. What do you think? Is Sean Couturier the man that needs to step up the most for the Philadelphia Flyers in 2024-25?
I agree to this poll 1,000%. He has to be the guy. This is a guy that's been given the C this past season for a reason. He was groomed to be the captain. He was meant to be the captain, and he has really good leadership qualities about him. Now, this year, I'm giving him a little bit of a pass because he's coming off of essentially of a 2-year break. He doesn't really – he's got to take a little while to get back into the game. I thought he was going to be back in game shape and back to playing well sooner than expected. Clearly wrong about that. And you know what? That's okay. Because you know what? We saw who needs to really step up for his team. And for me, it's Sean Couturier, number one. You know, you captain. Got to lead by example. Got to be the guy who's on the ice giving you 110% almost every night. Doesn't necessarily always correlate into having a good game, but if you're out there giving 110% every night, you're not slacking off any shifts, winning puck battles, doing good stuff in the offensive zone. Eventually the points will come. But I mean, there's a lot of guys that need to step up. I thought TK had a good year. I thought the way he needs to step up for me is that TK needs to settle his emotions a little bit. And, another guy that needs to step up is Cam Atkinson. Yeah. This is a guy you brought in for his leadership ability too, and his ability to get you 20, 25 goals a year. This guy just outright shit the bed this year. Probably one of the worst seasons he's had in his career. And this is a guy who knows how to play with Torts. This is a guy that understands the expectation with Torts. And for him to be benched as often as he was this season is, frankly, it's just not good. This is a guy that needs to absolutely come out next season, whether he's on the roster or whether he's on another team. He's really got to have a response here this year and really step up offensively, get back to par, get back to where the expectation is for Cam Atkinson. And the other guys that need to step up, and I realize this is a small sample size, Fedotov, he's got to step up. Again, small sample size, so I'm not too worried about what he did last season. It was just really a showing at this point for him. But Rob, you made the motion. You're paying him a decent amount. He's got to step up and prove that he can be a starter in this league. 27 years old. I get it. We're not really looking for him to develop. We're just looking for him to adjust.
Right. Yeah, and prove that he could be what we saw over in Russia and bring that game and have it translated here in the States. It's not always easy. Sometimes some may say easier said than done, but you got to expect as he gets more acclimated. I mean, he was thrown to the wolves this season, and it was out of desperate need for a quality backup goaltender. And hey, he showed promise too in that first period. Coming in the second period, his first period in the NHL, standing tall in the net, being large in the net. Hey, it shows what's possible for him. What a little glimpse into the future, and he has a contract to live up to now, so that'll be a little more onus for him. Getting back to the poll and Sean Couturier, I still feel to this day that benching was a calculated move. What's up, Brad? Welcome, brother. How are you?
Sorry about that, guys. Fat fingers.
It happens. What are you going to do?
I got hot dog syndrome myself, especially when I'm trying to text quickly. But, yeah, with Sean Couturier, I think Torts made a calculated move where it was a good time to give him a breather in his first full season in 2 years. He wasn't playing well. He was already reducing his minutes to try to have some quote-unquote load management. But I really feel that it was a calculated move. But also, I mean, it does speak to volumes of where his game was. And particularly at the face-off circle, a guy that's always been well over 50%, was residing on the low end of 50% for a bulk of this season. I think as he gets strength and that back gets stronger, we're going to see him muscle guys more off the puck in the face-off circle like we saw before. But in response to this face-off poll, I agree as well. It all started. Hey, everybody's got to step up. Let's make that, if they want to take the next step, right, and really take that next massive leap and actually get back into the playoffs, everybody's got to set up. But it all starts with Coots. If the captain leads, the rest will follow.
Absolutely agree.
Definitely. And tonight's face-off poll, in case you're just joining us, Sean Couturier has to be the guy stepping up for the Flyers. Agree or disagree? We're going to get to your comments here right now. Greg Malakbeck chiming in. Greg, what's up, man, from HUD Wednesday nights, as well as agree to disagree on Sundays. I mean, he has the C and is the most veteran guy on the team. Got to be the one to step up. Yeah. I mean, what say you, Brad?
Well, I'll tell you what. I compare his situation to, I don't know if you remember, the Rangers used to have a player, a really good defenseman by the name of Ron Greshner back in the 80s. Okay. And I mean, this guy scored a lot of goals for them. He was a really good offensive-minded defenseman. He had a similar injury to Couturier, missed 2 years. Okay. First year he came back, he struggled. Timing was off, was getting bumped off the puck a lot. His skating wasn't quite up to par. Next season he came back real strong, and he had a couple of good years after that too before he finally retired in 1990. But I mean, he actually played real well, but it took him 2 seasons to really get back to the top of his game. Sure. It's not that easy. When you hurt your back, especially in hockey, your legs are connected to your back. If you lose your legs a little bit, you're not going to be as strong a skater. And if you're not as strong a skater, you're not going to be as strong on the puck. So I would look to him to be able to pick it up. And I think he will be the guy next season for them. No question. He was able to survive this season, albeit had some issues. Again, a lot like Ron Greshner. And when he came back, he played real well. Same situation exactly. So look at it this way. He'll work it out and he'll be fine. Better, and they have better, training facilities now than they did back then.
Oh shit, yeah.
So I would expect a full comeback from him.
Absolutely. What up, Kev? Glad joining us. He's saying, "What's up, fam?" I agree. I feel like he should step up a bit.
Yep, and I agree. He should. Like I said, he wears the C. He's got it for a reason. This isn't anything that shouldn't be shocking to anybody else. Gotta lead by example. This is a guy, to Brad's point, training facilities are better, nutritionists are better. He just changed his agent, so Lord knows what that's going to bring to Sean Couturier and the Flyers. But this is a situation where, he went from having expectations that were maybe about here, as I'm trying to figure out which hand is which on because everything's reversed, to about here when he got the captaincy. Now he's already getting a lot of crap talked about him. Not talked about him, but he's getting a lot of crap for the season that he had for having the C and all that. And I do think that a lot of it is quite deserved. But I mean, you're the captain for a reason, and you were a Selke Trophy winner and a finalist multiple years before the injury. And I get sometimes injuries change players, but I still think Sean Couturier is young enough that he can have a rebound season and get back to his form that he was a couple of years ago. It's not an outlandish thought process that he can get back to being that 30-goal guy, that complete 200-foot two-way player, and get himself back in the Selke nomination. He just has to play. He has to gain that confidence back, and he just needs to do the little things right and just get back to giving his 110% every night.
Do you think a tear in the relationship with Torts thwarts that effort?
I think it could. I mean, it's happened in the past. It's happened to a lot of players in the past. I know a lot of people don't like Torts and the way he coaches. I mean, I do think that there's a softer mentality in all sports these days, and I don't think Torts, when this team comes out of the rebuild, I don't think Torts is the coach. Because I think we're going to see a lot of guys starting to really come out and say, hey, I don't like the way he talks to us. I don't like the way that he does certain things, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we're starting to see with Farabee. It's come out that Joel Farabee does not like Torts, does not like playing for him. But how many more players from this roster is going to come out and say the same thing? I think Kevin Hayes is going to say the same thing. Not that he's here anymore, but he's another guy that's got a skewed relationship with the guy. Now, the one major plus to Torts, and this is why I like him, he does have his players back. He's hard on them because he sees their potential, and he wants them to reach that potential. So that's the one good thing about having him for this rebuild. I think he's going to build a lot of confidence, but I think there's going to be a lot of players, especially some of the younger ones, just because of the generation that it is going to get real butthurt because of his old school style.
Right.
And then I think the one guy that has to step up and just be the guy that sits here and says, like, hey guys, roll it off your back. This is what he expects. This is what he wants. This is why he is the way he is. We got to do our jobs. And the guy that's got to be that guy to do that, Sean Couturier.
Got it. And Brad, I get no credit for saying torts and thwart in the same sentence. That's a pretty good tongue twister. It's a little bit.
I couldn't say those two words. No way. I'll tell you what, guys. As far as Torts and Couturier are concerned, you know what? Torts and Couturier are both professionals. Okay, and Couturier is not a 19-year-old kid anymore. Okay, he's a grown-ass man. He's been in the league a long time. He knows what the deal is. He knows he didn't play well. Okay, and Tortorella's a fiery coach, and Tortorella wants the best out of him. Okay, and you know what? He knows that. Couturier knows that. And you know what? If Couturier comes out next season all fired up, and he builds himself back up again and is the hockey player he was before he hurt his back, which he probably will because he's not that old. It's not like you're not talking about a 35, 36-year-old guy, okay? It's not like that. So he should be fine. And you know what? I would expect that the relationship will mend itself because Couturier will be playing better. And one thing about Torts, I mean, look, you never heard Torts saying anything bad about Cam Atkinson. Okay, and Cam Atkinson, that's Torts' guy.
Right.
Okay, and he gave him he could have rid him right off the team. But you know what? And if he said anything to Cam Atkinson, it obviously stayed in house.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think at this point, I think you have to roll with this. One thing about Tortorella that you saw a lot of last year, the Flyers are very good at taking away the ice from the other team. Okay, they wore down a little bit. Other teams started adjusting a little bit to it. But you know what? These guys learned a lot this past season, and if they stick to Tortorella's defensive mentality, they'll be fine. They just, a lot of these guys just don't want to block shots. I mean, that's what it came down to. Marian Gaborik didn't get along with John Tortorella because Marian Gaborik didn't want to block shots.
Hey, they spurred off the team in transition, though.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They spurred off the team in transition when you block shots.
Yeah, Brandon Dubinsky didn't really like blocking shots. And look how good a player he was because of Torts. And you know what? The first thing that Torts did when he was with Columbus was he went out when they traded Nash. He wanted Dubinsky.
Mm-hmm.
And Dubinsky did just fine there. So he likes certain kind of players. And if you're not going to go out there and you're not going to be the kind of player he wants you to be, guess what? They're not going to fire Tortorella. I think they have a lot of faith in it. Tortorella is the one, by the way, that won the Stanley Cup. None of these players did.
Mm.
Okay, and by the way, neither did Keith and neither did Danny. So I think that they should just listen to him and try to get through and understand that this is the way you win. Look at Carolina, the way they play. Okay, you watch the way they play, how defensive minded they are. Okay, and how good they are cutting off the ice. Tortorella's trying to get them to play the same way. Okay,
We're seeing a lot of that tonight.
They don't have the experience yet, and they don't have the players yet.
Right.
But you know what? I mean, they're going to have a few more young players coming up next year. They're probably going to sign. I would think they will sign some sort of a goal scorer to help score some more goals over the summer. They have a few bucks available in their little tank that they can use to try to get somebody. They may not be able to get the top players because honestly, after thinking about it, the top players like Stamkos and Sam Reinhart, they play in Florida. No tax laws.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why you gotta sacrifice that?
Pay taxes. So you know what?
Right.
They can make $8 million a year, $7.5 million a year, and you know what? They'll keep most of that money.
Why
to go to the Flyers or anybody else? It is going to cost $9.5 million a year,
Sure.
And you
probably
know
more.
Yeah, well, the tax
just to make up for the taxes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's unfortunately that's an advantage that they have. And by the way, the Golden Knights have that same advantage. Just to let you know that in addition to cheating with their salary cap, they have the tax advantages too. So
right.
But that's something that they need to. That's something that they should address, and they will.
Yeah,
They'll pick up a couple of guys that can score. They'll pick up a couple of veterans who've been around the block who've won, because that's what they really need. They need a couple of guys who've been to the playoffs, been through the playoffs, have won a little bit. That's kind of what they need, just to get some more leadership in the locker room. Because Sean can't do it himself, and neither can Konechny. It's got to be 4 or 5 guys in the locker room.
Absolutely. I hate to interrupt you, but I'm falling in love with this dude, Steve Brown, and I got to give him some credit here for some excellent tweets. And we'll start backwards here with Live Torch reminds me of Keenan, and I could agree. I get definite flashbacks to Mike Keenan behind the net when Torch is barking at the referees specifically. And he also points out first that Torch and Michkov, how's that going to roll? Well, I think that's going to roll fine because I think Michkov's does well with authority. I mean, if you have to deal with Putin, I think you could deal with Tortorella. You know what I mean?
I think it's a cakewalk.
Right.
That's a cakewalk.
But going back to his original comment here, how he feels Torts was just trying to motivate his team to step up leading into the playoff push. It just kind of backfired. Hey, did it though? I mean, it didn't work for them to get into the playoffs and hold on to that spot, right? But I think it still taught them something, Brian.
No, it definitely did. He said in his he said at the season end press conference that a lot of people wanted to see this as a playoff game. He didn't see it that way. He said they gained some experience, but it's not a playoff game. He said they're still far off, and that's okay. This is still a rebuilding team. They're still trying to figure a lot of questions out, and starting with this question here we have tonight, not necessarily a poll question, but in the title of the show here, who's the guy that's got to step up? Who's the guy that's got to step up? We want it to be the guys who wear the letters. I think Scott Lawton had a rough start to the year, but I thought he finished real strong. TK had a strong season the majority of the year. He went cold a couple times, but for the most part, it's found it. It's just these guys can't let anything that he says, they can't take it personally, because to what Steve says here, and I think it's pretty spot on. He's trying to motivate this team. He's trying to make them better. It's like I said earlier, he's trying to find ways to get this team to reach their full potential, get these players to reach their full potential. Joel Farabee had a career year this year. Would I call it a breakout? No, but he had a career year. He's close to breaking out. I think we're going to see a 30-goal year from him if he does wind up staying in Philadelphia. But I think that
he had a better center.
Well, who was the center most of the year? I think he had his best moments this year when he had Morgan Frost on his line. So if they can give him a passer, I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's what I. They need a playmaker for some of these kids. Put them in a position to be successful.
I mean, I think they got plenty of playmakers. They just need a couple shooters. But regardless, I think I love Torts here. I love what he's doing. I love the potential that is with this team. I love the step that they took this year. I'm very excited to see what they do in the offseason, which is going to lead me to be very excited to see what they do in October next year.
They picked up 20 points. They got 20 more points this year than they did last year.
It was about that. Yeah, I think it was 12 or 13 more points.
Well, they went from 67 to 87, right?
They had a little bit more than that. I'm looking it up now.
I thought that was okay. I could be wrong, but that's still a pretty big increase.
They had 70 something, I believe.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
So last year was 2023. They had. Oh, no, you don't want to scroll. So one thing I hate about Max. 75 points last year.
75. Okay. They went from 75 to 87. That's a pretty big jump, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and 90. They should be able to do 90 next year.
Oh, easily.
They'll pick up. They're gonna pick up a guy who can score. They're gonna do that. It may not be one of the super big guys, but again, those teams are gonna re-sign, and those teams are gonna re-sign with the teams they're already playing with. Okay, Florida can afford to keep their guys. I can't imagine Steven Stamkos at 34 years old wanting to play for another team. Who's he going to play with, really? I mean, first of all, who could really afford to pay him?
And I think it's Golden Knights. They LITR everybody.
Huh?
LTIR everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, not everybody. Just Mark Stone.
But if you're him and you're his age, okay, you have young kids, okay, you have a young family, you really want to leave Florida?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why would he?
Great schools down in Florida.
Listen, he's won 2 Stanley Cups. Okay, it's not like he never won. Okay, if he was chasing one, that would be a different story. He's already won one. I mean, where's he going to go? Toronto?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. Why would he want to go there to play with a bunch of guys that choke every year in the playoffs?
Real quick, shout out to Priz, man, heartbreaking shit, dude. We love you. You need anything, we're here for you, brother. Prayers up for you, man. Got my cross on for you, brother. We love you, dude.
We're a family here. If you're just joining us, Steve, who was joining us from Newfoundland, I saw before. We're getting a really wide audience tonight. But yeah, we're family here, man, and that's so sad to hear, Prez.
Prayers up, Prez. We love you, brother.
Yep.
Really sorry to hear that.
Absolutely. Go to Anthem. Oh, Steve. Yeah, finishers. Okay. Yeah, that's what we need. We definitely need some finishers on this team. That's without a doubt. Anthemeo chimes in. We need a number one center, or we need a 1C as our number one priority. Also, if this is truly a rebuild, they need to trade the following: Coots, Atkinson, Lawton, and yes, Farabee. He's smelling that, drinking that Kool-Aid from last week.
3 or 4 is easy.
I
the
think
only one that's going to be tough is Coots.
Lawton stays and is going to be the number 4 center. If you can make him your be the center on the 4th line and have a really good checking line, that would be something that you might want to do, because he's a veteran and you do need a couple of veterans on this team.
Right.
If putting him on the 3rd line, he doesn't score enough to be on the 3rd line or the 2nd line.
And there's been some doubts in Kate's ability to be that center iceman as Torts, oscillated him from left wing to center. So I mean, you can't really make center too weak of a position by trading off a lot of your centers.
Yeah,
right.
And to jump back to Lawton real quick, Lawton's going to be your 3rd line center because you have Ryan Poehling. Ryan Poehling is your 4th line center. He's going to be the 4th line center for the next 2 years. And ideally, your wingers on that 4th line are still going to be Hathaway and Delorier for the foreseeable future, off and on Delorier, at least from what we saw this year. Lawton does enough. I mean, your 3rd line, you don't necessarily need a guy who's going to score 20, 25, 30 goals on your 3rd line. You just need somebody who's going to sit there and work hard. You can have a 3rd line checking line. Why not?
Oh,
a lot of teams do that.
You can. I would just like to see a little bit more scoring out of the 3rd line. That's all.
Right.
I'm not saying you need to have your 3rd line scored 100 goals in the season. That's not going to happen. But, that maybe between all 3 of them have like 35, 40 goals. Is that asking too much?
I want to check Lawton's stats real quick.
Like 20, 12, 13 goals apiece.
Well, Poehling showed an ability to put the puck in the net and played some 3rd line minutes as well. A lot, for a bowl.
3rd line center then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of these guys I view as placeholders though for the future too. I mean, that's not sweep that under the rug.
Don't you think Lawton at his maximum effectiveness for your team would be better on the 4th line? He'd score more. I'll tell you what, he'd score more because he'd be playing. He's on the 4th line. He'll be playing against other 4th line players.
I'd say no, because he's not going to get the minutes that he needs. When he has limited minutes, he has a hard time producing in isolated scoring chances. Like, he needs reps.
He had 40 points on ice. He had 40 points last year. So that, to me, that's prime 3rd line production right there. To me, he's perfect where he is. And like I said, Ryan Poehling, to Rob's point, he showed that he can play the 3rd line too. So Lawton can play wing. I think he's a much better center, but he can play wing. Maybe you work it out so that you have Lawton and Poehling play on the 3rd line. Maybe you have Poehling as your center, Lawton on the wing, and maybe you have one of the younger guys, whoever decides to come up and do. I was actually going to hit at this, but maybe it's Michkov.
That would be that would be the kind of thing that you'd want to do. That, to me, that would work, because you could probably bring up one of your young guys and you might be able to get between 10 and 15 goals out of one of your young players in their first year on the 3rd line. Kind of like what the Rangers did with Cooley.
Yeah, or maybe even a Denver Barkley. Maybe you put Denver Barkley on the 3rd line just to kind of see what he can do. Yeah. Maybe you put Brink there. But those are 2 really good vets you want to put with a young guy like that, because those are two of the most hardworking guys on the roster.
You might want to do it right. Barkley like on the 2nd line and see if he can be a top 6 player.
I just don't want to crush a kid's confidence right away. I think he could get smoked on the 2nd line right out of the gate. At least if you put him with a guy like Lawton and Poehling, they could set the pace and let him
Yeah, that's true.
do his thing. He's the one I'm interested in this offseason, see what happens with him.
I mean, look, he's a good player, obviously. You saw what he did with Denver. I mean, did he not lead the country in scoring?
Mm-hmm.
So you know this guy is going to be a top-notch player in the NHL. It's just a matter of him adjusting to the game.
You know what else is top notch?
Huh?
Flyers Talk A2D. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on the notifications. You'll never miss a show. Comment in. We love it when you guys comment in. This makes the show that much more fun for us. We love hearing your opinions. We love being corrected by some of you guys because I know I'm corrected often, but unlike the other guys, but that's okay. But hit that like, hit that subscribe, never miss a show. We try to make it as entertaining as possible for you guys. We love seeing you guys come back.
Absolutely. Like Billy Millbrook, glad to have you tonight, brother.
So I haven't seen
And
Bill in the chat in a long time. What's up,
yeah,
Bill?
Man. What up? But yeah, there has been some news that we need to get to here as we segue off of, what are we really segueing from players that need to step up next season? Because based on some news, I mean, maybe it's jumping the gun a little bit. Maybe, throwing 19-year-old kid to the wolves, so to speak, like we spoke about with Fedotov earlier in the show. But Michkov's on that elite level that plays immediately, kind of like, Lafreniere and Crosby and, McDavid as well. So, but we got a little bit of news that we're going to share with you. If you haven't heard, at least, there was some news out of Russia, and I'm going to share this so we can get this up on the screen. Boom.
Boom.
But yeah, Alexander Appleyard, obviously a beat reporter over there. Russia goes, pretty notable news. Basically, the Flyers want Michkov in the NHL. They've established a good relations with the Flyers front office. They won't violate his KHL contract, but they will talk. But they won't rule out Michkov going to the Flyers. Let me see if I can get this higher up on the screen here. Decision will be no later than the end of June. So that
free agency is July 1st, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. That's perfect timing. So you'll know then. So they can make their plans accordingly. That's good news. I think it's just going to be, the money, brother. It's going to be all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
Money talks.
It definitely does. As the $1 million man Ted DiBiase used to say, everybody has their price.
Yes, sir.
And
I love that. I love that.
It's all about the MONEY.
Here's the thing that sticks out to me, though. It's looking at this tweet, right? The thing that sticks out to me is the fact that it says the Flyers want Michkov in the NHL. SKA has good relationship with the Flyers front office and knows that they won't want to violate his KHL contract, and they will figure out a way to do it. That, to me, speaks volumes on, one, the respect level of this front office here in Philadelphia. That speaks volumes of they see Briere and they see Jones and they see him in a great light.
Yeah.
The other thing that this speaks to me is they think he's ready. I mean, obviously the majority of the media and a lot of the fan base, they all believe he's ready too. Like if you've seen the highlights and you don't think he's ready yet, you got to get off of whatever it is that you're smoking or doing or snorting or whatever it is that you do recreationally. This kid's going to be something special. And you know what? This kid's a game changer. He's an absolute game changer. We're talking about we need a 30, 40, 50 goal scorer. This kid is going to be that guy. He's a 50 goal scorer. And the scariest part about it, he can pass the puck too. He's got great vision. He can skate. There's not much in hockey that he can't do. Now, like Fedotov and probably Kolosov, the goaltender for Lehigh Valley now, you're probably going to have a little bit of an adjustment period. KHL is a little bit different from the NHL. I get it, hockey's hockey, but it's still in that same breath. It's a little bit different. So there's going to be an adjustment. And I know if he doesn't score in his first 5 games, there's going to be Flyers fans out there calling for the kid's head. And I kind of feel bad for him for that. But this tweet here speaks volumes on this whole situation and how soon Michkov can be here. It's scary to think that Michkov can be here in October.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
He helped the rebuild.
Oh, it speeds up the rebuild.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, look, you know what? You take a look at Washington, okay? Would you rather be Washington or would you rather be the Flyers?
Right now, I'd rather be the Flyers.
Yes, so would I.
There is another part to this tweet that I kind of I'm going to pull up here. Just give me a second while I size it up.
That's
the
cool.
Other thing that kind of stuck out to me was this. Just give me 1 second here as I pull it up. Again, this is coming from. Stop it. This is also coming from Alexander Appleyard. Medvedev thinks it's better to leave like Ovechkin and Panarin. If he does leave, would have to have guarantee in contract return to SKA. If it does not make the NHL, no AHL time option. Medvedev also said not worth talking about right now, but I don't know what the OFC preceded the Flyers. I don't know what the OFC means, but
right.
Basically it's NHL or bust. He's either making the NHL roster or he's staying in the KHL. That's what I took away from that.
Right. And that's a good conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Alexander Appleyard says he could be found somewhere in Europe. He's a man of too many words. Contributor, you can find him at Philly_sports, on Twitter at AVA or AV Appleyard. He's an amateur scout for what's that? Smalt Scouting as well. So definitely thank you for allowing us to use that tweet. And which we call also too, I wanted to feed up this, Brian, for you. Get a little some highlights from over in Russia.
All right. This kid is so good. Just look at the way he moves.
Good playmaker from behind the net.
Just not afraid to go in front. That's a big thing.
And then obviously the good hands that we saw there with that goal as we get a little tighter view
That
here.
was really nice. Look at those hands. Oh,
Michigan.
Nice.
He's built. He's ready. He's built for the NHL. Let's go. Oh, I saw this already. That was a nice little toe drag. And as he was pulled down, still found a way to get it in the 5-hole. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Let's go.
He's going to be real good.
Yeah.
And
type of player that this team needs, really, to complement what's already in the pipeline as well as on the big lot, with the big club.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Mike? Mike winning $400. Look at him go. Boy.
Boom.
Boy. Wish we still had Money Pot on here. We really make him some money. Speaking of, I do have a score update here for the Boston Bruins. Give me 1 second here. As we might have our second overtime game of the year, the rate that it is currently going.
Well, in 45 seconds, it's 1-1 right now.
I can't.
Oh, way to ruin the surprise, Brad.
I'm sorry.
I can't believe that the Islanders crept back in the game against the Hurricanes tonight. They were down 3-1 and outshot 20-4 in the first period. It wasn't looking good for their perspectives.
No,
No.
they came back though. Yeah, Kuznetsov scored on a penalty shot in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you, he is the most annoying
Oh, how
penalty
slow.
shot shooter I have ever seen. That should be illegal.
That should. You have to keep a 5-mile-an-hour pace, at least.
Hey, as long as he's still inching forward, it's
Technically,
it's
yeah,
all good.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
But-
Winnipeg. Mike wants to know why Winnipeg and Toronto were struggling. Okay, Winnipeg, it's between the pipes, and it's between Connor Hellebuck's head right now. He played the Vezina Trophy like hockey all season, and then he comes into the playoffs, and he's spitting the bit. I mean, he has not been good, and he's being severely outplayed by Georgiev. So that in itself is the big problem there. Toronto always struggles in the postseason. They just don't have enough grit, and they're not a very deep team either. Toronto is a two-line team. They always have been a two-line team, and they have poor goaltending. Although Wolves played extremely well tonight, though.
The one thing I will add to Winnipeg is their power play has been just absolutely abysmal going into this game tonight. 2-for-11. That is not helping their case at all. Offensively, since game one, they've been ice cold. So that doesn't help. I don't necessarily blame Hellebuck for all of that, but he's definitely been struggling in this series, and the offense just has to get going. Like I said, they've just been ice cold. You know, they have the offense to be able to keep up with Colorado, but they haven't been able to find ways to beat Georgiev. He's just easily been the better goaltender in this series.
He absolutely has, and that at the beginning of the series, that was the whole my whole premise about Winnipeg winning that series was that I thought Connor Hellebuck would completely outplay Georgiev, and that's why Winnipeg would win. But it hasn't worked out that way.
Yeah, just offensively.
The Maple Leafs are the Cowboys of the NHL.
It's true.
It's damn true.
Yeah, you're just you watch the game tonight, and you're just waiting to see how the Maple Leafs find a way to lose this game.
Technically, no.
Well,
He's not wrong, but if he's referring to this Winnipeg Jets is its own franchise.
Yeah, this is not the Arizona Coyotes.
Carolina just pulled ahead 4-3.
Yeah, of course they did, because the Islanders stink in the third period. That's been their bugaboo that whole series.
Well,
and it was Jack Drury.
Playoff Freddie showed his face today. He looked pretty strong so far in the series, coming out like a beast in the opening games. But tonight, I saw the 1 goal and 4 shots in the first period, and obviously led in 2 more in the second, showing the chinks in the armor there.
Yeah, he's getting beat up by the Islanders in the net today. He went off on he went off on Anders Lee before we went on the air, and threw a couple cheap shots while they had him on the ice.
Yeah, D'Angelo got himself involved in that little scrum too.
5-3.
Surely.
5-3. The Islanders are starting to fall apart. 2 goals in like 45 seconds. I literally just turned my head for a minute to talk to you guys.
Listen, game 2, they had no business blowing that game.
Yeah, true.
The Islanders lost this series.
What did he do? Varlamov misplayed the puck, and it looked like Stefan Nason cleaned up the very easy goal.
There's some time left, but the clock is ticking, and the nails are being hammered into the New York Islanders' playoff hopes.
You can stick a fork in them; they're not coming back.
Right. Ed DeMeo chiming in again. Question is, if Toronto loses in the first round, then who do they look to trade because they can't keep the same roster year after year anymore?
Real quick before I answer that, who brought up Stamkos earlier? Was
Me.
that Ant too? Because I saw somebody brought up, because this is actually a really good question, and I can kind of relate the two. I don't remember who dropped it in there.
I missed
Somebody
it.
did. But anyway,
Ayo.
wind's ripping. I think it just slammed my door.
Is
my bedroom
this
door.
YouTube clip gonna go viral for like ghost hunters?
No, because I know it's the wind. My windows are open. But yeah, I mean, similar to Stamkos and the situation in Tampa, that at some point they got to start, selling pieces off. Stammer, I don't think his days in the NHL are not done. His days in Toronto or in Tampa, I think, are done. I think there's going to be a major move in Toronto too. Who? No idea. That's not going to be Austin Matthews, and it's probably not going to be Mitch Marner.
It's going to be Marner.
It's either going to be Marner or it's going to be Nylander, and I think it's going to wind up being Nylander because he seems to be kind of putting a little bit of a wedge in between him and some of the other guys in the locker room. Especially,
I was going to say Nylander.
Did
you see them going at each other on the bench in frustration the other night? So, Nylander is
Marner hasn't done a darn thing either in the playoffs.
Oh, this is good. I like that, Mike. That's funny.
So that's the problem.
Isn't Maddie secretly hiding in Brian's outdoor bush and throwing flyers hats on the roof? Yes, it is, because we hate Ducks fans here now. Sorry.
Y'all got to chuckle a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I think we're about to get a storm. Like, I'm sitting right next to my back door and it's open, and like I'm hearing everything. And it kind of sounds like it's starting to like drizzle a little bit. So I think we're about to get a pretty nasty storm from the sound of the wind out here. It's ripping.
Batten down the hatches.
It's a good thing I'm on the second floor. Let's go. I'm not drowning.
Vegas and Dallas back and forth series. I still have Dallas in 7 games. Yeah, that's the one where, if you're looking for an underdog to take a series, do you consider Vegas an underdog? But they are the wild card team against the division leader. That has been the most exciting series so far in the first round, and I could easily see it going 7 games either way, guys.
Oh, if you didn't think this series was going 7 from the jump, again, I'm going to say what I said earlier. You need to stop smoking, snorting, popping, whatever it is that you like to do recreationally, whatever your choice of candy is. Because this was going to be a hard-fought 7-game series. Anything under 7, hell no. A lot of that is because these teams are both loaded. They both have good goaltending, both have good defenses, both have one of the best power plays in the league. The only difference is Vegas kind of cheated to get. No, I shouldn't say cheated. I'm going to stop using that term. They didn't cheat. They used a loophole, like they do every year.
They stretched the truth.
Yes,
I believe Mark Stone was not injured. I think that's a big lie.
Oh, he was. I think he was. I just think they let him kind of take his time coming back, because why rush him? So they put him on the LTIR. I think he was injured. I think he was back way sooner than they anticipated, but they just let him sit on the LTIR and get healthy. I would turn on the AC, but my ACs don't work. I gotta get new wall units.
Oh boy.
Yep. It wasn't too bad today. It was a little stuffy in here, but it wasn't too bad. But I missed what's it called? We do this one more time, guys. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on the notifications, jump in the chat, come talk with us. We love you guys. There ain't much left to say. We love when you guys join us every week. So we love seeing the repeat names. We even love seeing the new names even more. So let's let some of them new names become repeat names, and we just keep the cycle going. But as far as the playoffs go, we got about 10 minutes left. Whoa. What the hell is going on in my apartment right now?
It's haunted. I told you. It's
Dude,
the
my
spirits.
chair almost just gave out. Oh, there's lightning. 10 minutes. I'm done. I give up on today. I give up. I'll see you guys.
Don't
see ya.
give up. Brad, give you a second to talk about your series sweep against the Washington Capitals. What did you see? What can the Rangers carry forth into the second round?
I saw a red hot power play and incredible penalty killing. And that's how they beat Carolina the last time they played them in the playoffs. That's how they beat them this year, 2 out of 3 games. I'm not afraid of Carolina at all. No reason for the Rangers to be worried about them. Carolina should be a lot more worried about the Rangers. They haven't proven that they could beat the Rangers. You look at last year, the Rangers won 3 out of 4. They won the 7-game series 2 seasons ago, and they won 2 out of 3 this year. Rangers just need to play their game defensively, not take stupid penalties. Okay, you don't want to give them a situation where they're getting a lot of penalties, because that was the one thing they did against the Capitals that I didn't like, was the fact that they committed 17 penalties in the last 3 games, which is way too many. But they outscored them 2-0, being shorthanded, which is beyond ridiculous. And Alexander Ovechkin, by the way, he needs to retire. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, he looked slow in the series. I think he was held to 6 shots throughout the 4 games.
Unless he was injured.
Gusev.
Okay, unless he was injured, then he has no excuse.
They were just bad. They weren't ready.
No,
they weren't ready.
That was just ridiculous. So Vinny Trocheck, by the way, has been a godsend for them. That was maybe one of their better free agent signings. Not the best one, obviously. Panarin was the best one, but boy, oh boy. I mean, he was just what the doctor ordered. The interesting thing to see is if Heedle's going to play in this next round, or if they're going to bench Rempe, because I don't think they need Rempe against the Carolina Hurricanes. They're not the kind of team that's going to beat anybody up. They're kind of a wimpy team. They're a good team, but they're not
skilled players. Play defense.
Skilled players. They're not. You're not getting guys running around trying to chop your head off like Tom Wilson. Right. Or TJ Oshie. There's nobody like that on Carolina.
You go with your small lineup.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I would like to see Heedle on the third line. Take Rempe out. Put Wenberg on the fourth line. Be the center with Goudreau and Vesey. I think that would be really, really a good fourth line. Because you got 3 outstanding defensive players, and 2 of the 3 can really score. And Goudreau all of a sudden is, had 4 points in the 4 games after having probably 4 points the whole season. So, that's the playoffs for you.
We do officially have OT in Toronto and Boston, although that regulation or the OT intermission is probably just about over at this point.
OT in New York too, in the NBA as well. That's a
Did you hear Axie hit a shot from mid-court to tie up the game?
I think it had to be, man, because he's been shooting from half court all game.
They said he hit one from. I got a notification that he hit one from the logo to tie up the game.
Wow!
I think the Sixers are on the verge of winning the game now.
Yeah, the shot selection by both teams tonight, especially in that first quarter, was questionable. But yeah, it's turned out to be a bar. I didn't want to get too specific in case you were, going to watch it later, Brad. I know you got
no, it's all right. I mean, look, they had a 6-point lead with 25 seconds to go, and they blew it. So shame on them. That's their own fault.
The series is basically over anyway. At this point, it's just
you got 3 shots to win that 4th game.
Yeah, you got to take
a strong position to be in.
Got to take it quarter by quarter, and Winnipeg just went up 1-0.
Nice.
Literally, as I just turned it on.
Nice.
Is the Mesnikov playing? Sorry.
No worries, Brian. It's good. We're giving a lot of sporting updates. Busy night in both the NHL and NBA playoffs. But as we near 5 minutes left to go on the program tonight, Flyers Talk A today. If you're new and just joining us, thank you. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications to all our shows. If you're a long time listener, as always, we appreciate the comments chiming in. But boys, I want to get to one specific comment from Mike Hayes to wrap up our show, and that's, what's one big name Danny Briere could magically sign in the offseason that would help this team?
Oh, easy peasy. Michkov. That's the big name. That's the guy. I get he's a young player, no NHL experience whatsoever, but he's a 7th overall pick from last season, NHL ready basically 2 years ago when he was like 15. But this kid, he's something special. He's got all the intangibles that you want in a player. He's not going to cost you a ton of money off the jump, but he will eventually cost you some money. But he fills a need, and he's somebody within your organization. You don't necessarily need to always go out and get a big name free agent. You didn't do that last year. And look at where they went. You can't always just go out and sign guys. You have to let your guys develop. You need to have some veterans in place as well. But for me, you see what you got. Sign free agents after next year. Maybe add another free agent after that the next year. It's a rebuild. You got to let your young guys develop and just see what you have. You're going to get guys are going to be traded here and there, and I get that. You're trying to see what you have as far as young talent goes, and the guys who are going to really fit long term, whether it be a guy like Farabee, Coots, Lawton, whoever. We're seeing Atkinson's not really fitting in, so he's probably going to be bought out or traded. And that's going to open up a spot for somebody else. So for me, we don't go out, we get a free agent. We bring Michkov over. We get the deal done with the KHL, and we bring Michkov to Philadelphia. That's your big acquisition.
I like it. Brad, any suggestions?
I mean, I'd have to look at all the free agents and really kind of judge from there. But I would like to see them at least just bring in a guy who could finish, a 20-25 goal scorer. They need that. Just somebody who can put the puck in the net, some guy who's a power play threat, or a guy who is who can have a net front presence on the team. I think they really need that. If they can improve their power play, that would really help the team. I think that could get them into the playoffs. Obviously, bringing over Michkov would probably do that, but if you get a big guy that can stand in front of the net, they don't cost that. You don't have to get necessarily the most expensive player in the world to do that, but you have to get a guy who can be effective standing in front of the net, screen the goalie, and score garbage goals, because that's the one thing that they really need to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
They work so hard to score all the time, and it'd be nice to see them be able to not knock a couple of rebounds in,
especially on the power play. To your point,
yeah, I mean, you screen the goalie, you put guys in front of the net, and if the goalie makes the save, then you can score on the rebound. Or just get in front of the goalie. So he can't see it. The way to beat a hot goalie is not let them see the puck. That's what you got to do.
Two of the more fan favorite Flyers in recent memory did that a lot, and that's Scott Hartnell and Wayne Simmons.
I think we
got most of their goals that way.
Right.
The Toronto Maple Leafs won Game 5 without Matthews.
Oh, did you just spoil it for me?
Spoil what?
Yep.
I believe it was Tavares.
No, it looks like it was Matthew Nyes.
Or was it Domi? Was that Domi or Tavares?
It's Matthew Nyes.
Nice.
23 is Matthew Nyes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Was it?
Two
rookie with ice in his
veins. Two quick names. Two quick names I'll just fire out there real quick, boys. A lot of people are paying attention to free agent Steven Stamkos in Tampa Bay. How about bringing in a Matt Dumba, who's a right-handed defenseman that could help maybe give you depth there, especially with Jamie Drysdale having some injury woes over the past 2 seasons. And you know who my dream guy that's always been and could do what you're talking about in terms of that net front presence, Tyler Toffoli, if he doesn't re-sign in Winnipeg.
Yep. And I'm going to say right now, I'm
going to keep on saying it until it comes true.
I'm calling my shot.
Foley would be a very good acquisition. He wouldn't be that expensive either.
Real quick before we jump out here, I'm calling my shot. Steven Stamkos to Anaheim.
Oh, I had a feeling you were going to say SoCal. I almost said SoCal too. If he leaves Florida and the tax thing, it would be SoCal.
He's got a buddy. He's got a couple buddies in Anaheim now. They got plenty of cap room to sign him, and they're about to be out of their rebuild. So let's go.
Again, hey, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Absolutely been a pleasure, Brad, Brian. Great talk, Matt. We'll catch you next week. We're going to be coming to you live during the NHL Draft Lottery, and we'll see how this shapes out. Going to be really exciting. All of this being brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, with 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out our doc. Make them yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. We will see you next week, people. Thank you.
Draft Lottery. Let's go.